Hello, and welcome to the RBC Small Business Live panel. I'm Sarah Adams, Vice President of RBC Small Business, and it's my pleasure to be your host and moderator for tonight's discussion. Thank you for taking the time to be part of our live event. We will be discussing the topic of getting your business online with a panel of successful business owners and an industry expert who have joined us to share their experiences, best practices, and of course to answer your questions. I would like to thank everyone who submitted their questions for the panel. We received many interesting questions through Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we're going to try and cover as many as possible. This discussion will be recorded and released as part of the RBC Sound of Small Business podcast series. To subscribe to the podcast, search for the Sound of Small Business wherever you download podcasts or visit rbc.com/Sound of Small Business. I'm really excited to introduce you to our wonderful panel who we have this evening. Our first guest is Leo Desautels, the owner and founder of OutdoorCovers.ca. Leo worked for a global consumer products company for 25 years, but he always dreamed of owning his own business. And so 3 years ago, he started his own business, OutdoorCovers.ca. It's great to have you here, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
And our next guest is Cathys Young Keefe. Cathys and her business partner, Kim, are inventors of an anti-aging wellness pillow, Envy. Cathys will share her experience and insights on a journey to starting a business online and then making that vital step to adding e-commerce capabilities and selling their wellness pillows online. Cathys, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Sarah.
And finally, we have Dorgam Hideib joining us. Dorgam is the Vice President of New Media Sales at Web.com, a leading provider of internet services and online marketing solutions for small businesses. Dorgam, it's great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
And thank you to Web.com for offering 3 individual consultations, including an online marketing health check to 3 lucky winners who submitted their questions to the panel. Our draw will take place tomorrow. Based on the panel and the individuals I've introduced you to, I'm confident we're going to have some really great discussions tonight. So let's get started. I think one of the things that I enjoy about my role the most is getting to know entrepreneurs and hearing their stories. So Leo and Cathys, we're excited to hear from you about how you got started. Each of you had very successful careers and other interests. And so Leo, why don't we start with you and hear your story?
All right, I'd be happy to tell it. First of all, thank you and thanks RBC for having us participate in this panel. I think it's exciting. It's great to be part of something involving small business, something I'm very passionate about right now. So I'm looking forward to this. So anyways, the story for me is that, as you said, was in the business in the corporations for 25 years, but I always had that inkling to be in my own business. And so it came through an idea 3 years ago when I was looking for covers for things that I had. I'm one of these guys who likes to look after their stuff or keep it clean, so on and so forth, a little bit anal retentive that way, but I enjoy it to make sure that the stuff lasts longer. So trying to find stuff in the market was difficult. Trying to find it at the right time, at the right price, the right quality, the right size. So I started thinking about that and looking around and knowing that the market wasn't well served, I was going, well, wait a minute, maybe there's an opportunity for me. So I started doing more and more exploration. I realized that, okay, I want to be in a small business. Here's something that is being underserved. Let me use my sort of skills that I've learned over the years and see if I could do this. So starting from a whim, going into an industry which I knew nothing about, a product line I knew nothing about, and being on my own that I knew nothing about. So it was quite a venture. But sticking to it, doing the work involved in it, it's coming out quite well. And I like what I do. I'm very passionate about it, and it's becoming a lot of fun. So now I've got into a business where I sell covers for boats and patio furniture, cars, ATVs. I'm even developing new products because I've been to shows and people ask me, do you have a cover for this? Well, I don't now, but let me look into it. So I'm starting to develop new products. So I have a bicycle cover, a mobility scooter cover, all kinds of things. So the whole idea is to provide a plethora of products for people out there like me who like to cover their stuff and make it last longer. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And I'm still learning. Every day it's a learning process, and that's where I'm at.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, it's incredible, 25-year career. Have that dream. I'm sure there's lots of individuals, you know, who are listening in thinking, wow, you know, I've got an idea. There's a gap in the marketplace, and I think I can fill it. So you'll inspire many, and we look forward to hearing more about how you got online.
Great.
But Cathy, let's hear your story.
Well, we filled a gap as well, so that's a good lead-in. So I'm a co-founder of a anti-aging pillow, as you know, the Envy Pillow Company, co-founded by my partner, who's also a registered nurse. We were reluctantly aging, and we saw that, you know, there was a need. The science was indicating that there's actually truth to the fact that the way we sleep, the habitual chronic sleep habits that we have, can create sleep lines, sleep wrinkles, and age us prematurely. So when Kim and I met, we actually play hockey together, and we connected. She came from a more of an anti-aging background. I came from the more ergonomic background, and we got together and create. And over 2.5 years of research, we looked into forming a pillow out of foam that would keep people from smushing their faces into their pillow at night, which is aging them prematurely. 75% of us like to sleep on our sides. So this pillow that we invented after 2.5 years was a way to allow us to sleep on our side, but prevent that sort of premature aging. When we launched the product in the anti-aging field, the aesthetic market,
yes.
We were shocked to see that people were actually buying it for vanity, but loving it for the health benefits that it was creating for them, because it was ergonomic and it is a medical device. So we are now in plastic surgeons' beds and dermatologists' beds and chiropractors and physiotherapists, massage therapists, this many years later, we have a whole line of the pillows that we now have a travel size, one that's covered with silk, and the pediatric pillow as well. So that was launched in 2009.
Way to go. I mean, it's very impressive if you think of health and wellness, how important that is. And, you know, as we all age, we all want to look as good as we can, but also have a really good night's sleep. So I think the Envy pillow is one that we all need. But I love the fact you both had a nursing background and met playing hockey, which is fantastic, and then started this great business.
Yeah.
So well done.
Thank you very much. We're very excited.
And really, the whole theme tonight is around getting online. And Dorgam, I know your work with web.com is an important one. So tell us a little bit about yourself as the expert in terms of providing advice to entrepreneurs, and a little bit about web.com.
Sure. Again, my name is Darrens Hideib. I represent web.com, and I have to tell you, Sarah, it's a delight to be here. And I'm so looking forward to hearing more from Leo and Cathy on their story and their journey. Web.com stands up and for small businesses. We help them get online and succeed online. And we are over 2,000 employees strong, and I'm really proud to say almost 500 of them are based here in Canada, serving both the customer base here in Canada and in the States. And I represent over 400 Canadian employees in Nova Scotia, which is where I reside now, and where my wife is from originally. We met here in Toronto. Got married here, but after our first child, she had me out there, I think within the year.
Regularly.
Within the year. But
It's a nice place.
It is beautiful. It is beautiful. Originally a prairie boy from Winnipeg, but you know, what we do for our customers, I think it harkens back to what I think we're going to hear for stories. Most of what we do for our customers is just get them on the phone, listen to what they do, the geographies they serve, and try to get them found for what they do online. And that's a matter of just simply asking the right questions and making very simple recommendations on different options that they have. And I hope that we'll be able to delve into some of that here tonight.
Yeah, that's great. Well, since our discussion is all about getting business online, I thought it would be helpful to share some stats with you to really speak to how important our dialogue is. According to the 2015.ca factbook produced by the Canadian Internet Registration Authority, just 42% of small businesses in Canada currently have a website. And as a nation, we are heavy internet users. I know I am. According to the same CIRA report, with nearly 87% of Canadian households connected to the internet, we visit on average 3,000 web pages per month and spend over 34 hours per month online. Canada is in fact ranked 16th globally for internet penetration, and among our G8 counterparts, we're ranked second, just behind the United Kingdom. So what do small businesses need to do to embrace the web? With Canadians spending over 34 hours online every month, the opportunity for businesses to engage and attract customers is huge. What's more, 73% of Canadians research their purchase decisions online. Having an online presence becomes paramount to attracting new customers and being part of the consideration process just for buying a product. If small businesses aren't online, potential customers are likely going to a competitor who have a strong online presence. Business owners end up not only missing out on new opportunities for their local markets, but potentially global ones as well. What's exciting about the internet is access to new markets in an extremely affordable way. And they're markets that may have been out of reach in the past and now are accessible and offer new business opportunities. So Dorgam, as our industry expert, how does one start? Like, how do you define being online? And, what is it that being online, what priority, if someone is, listening this evening thinking, okay, how do I even start? Like, what does online mean?
Sure.
Maybe
So,
describe to us what that means from an expert's point of view.
We answer this question every day for both new and prospective customers at web.com. But if I were to put it simply, being online for a small business is simply being found or getting found for what you do in the geography you serve. And the urgency, I think, to your point, there are customers that don't know you, but need what you do, and the internet makes that connection. Yeah. And how they do that is a very important point that I think we'll probably stress over the course of the evening. But what used to be people going to the internet on their desktop and typing in what they need, it's now their phone. What used to be, let me look that up on the internet, is let me simply ask my phone. Mm-hmm. And if you're not there, you're missing out on considerable opportunities. And I think you just need to look at your own experience. Yep. You're on the corner looking for the right place to go for brunch. You ask your phone. Google and Facebook have made it so easy. They've moved mountains to make the mobile user experience that much easier. So the theme that I would push here is understand the growing importance of mobile and smartphone adoption in connecting consumers to small businesses. Simple questions we arm our customers with when they're getting started is, what are your goals? And you don't have to look further than your small business plan, your business plan. Yep. What you do, who you do it for, what makes you unique and special. Those elements you should make sure you carry forward everywhere you choose to present yourself online. That consistency is really important. How much should I spend? And especially when I'm getting started, should I do this myself, or should I seek out help or a partner of some type? If I do get the work done and I don't like what I see, especially if we're talking about a website that represents your credibility and reflects the quality of the work that you want to put out there, do I have recourse to make edits and modifications, especially before it goes live? And then know that, and I hope this isn't too much advice at once, but know that this isn't a one and done. Yes. When you're making the commitment, it's a commitment that you're going to go online to succeed, and it's a marathon, not a race. You're going to start, and you're going to get better at it over time. And knowing that you've got the resources there to be able to pick up the phone, or that person's in-house, and that they're going to be there over time is important. So make sure you've got a trusted partner, whether it be internal or external. And that's where we sort of stand up for small businesses. We serve over 3 million customers, and we've been at it 20 years. So we've got a pretty good story to tell. The other little piece of advice I'd give is, no matter what you do, and our support organization would be really happy that I mentioned this, make sure everything that you do online is in your name. So you hold the keys from the domain name to the hosting, to the website, the ability to go in and make edits. It's in your name as the business owner of the business, and your username. Do not lose the keys, especially if you've hired a high school kid to get you up online and you lose them.
Could be
So
dangerous.
I was going to say, so Cathy and Leo, I know being online is critical to both your businesses. In fact, that's really kind of the value proposition that you present. So maybe Cathy, if you could start just talking about how you got onto being online and how it was part of your business plan.
Well, Envy Pillow is kind of a good example of a guinea pig that you might want to explore, because we were before all the easy ways to get websites going now, because it's much simpler now. So when we first started out, when we launched our website in 2009, we outsourced it. I'm sure someone from India made our website. And so once it was there, it was static. You couldn't do anything with it. There was no way. It was all coding. We couldn't get into it. And so now, after I think we did 3 modifications of people outsourced, we went into Canada the next time. Again, it became expensive because you had the content and everything there and the information, but we couldn't go in there and change things if we wanted to. And if we have actually like an authorized dealers page, for instance, where we want to add clinics and who else is.
And this is critical content for
critical
you.
content, and so we're saying, could you please add this? And we'll do that next week, or that'll cost you so much to do that.
Yeah.
And so that became a huge frustration for us. So that's when I actually approached Kim about it and said, let's just make our own website. Let's not outsource this anymore. And I think I spent the weekend with her making the website the whole weekend. We had the content, we just had to bring it over, and you had to pick a template. It came with everything, the hosting, everything that you did. But it's a huge project to do, but it's worth it. If you have the day, the time of day to do it for a weekend, it can be done.
So Leo, I know certainly you're online,
Yes.
you're e-commerce. So how, if you could maybe talk, because there are a lot of people that ask questions around, like, how do I even start? Like, what do I pick? Do I pick, do I go through Facebook? Do I need a website? So what was your story? How did you make those decisions?
Well, the first thing foremost is deciding if you're going to operate a small business is how do you want to function? Do you want to be bricks and mortar? Do you want to be online? Do you want to be both? Personally, I'd love to be both, but the reality is saying in this world that I really want it to be online first and foremost. As 10, 20 years ago, you'd do it the other way around for sure. But online to me is the way to go. You can start with Facebook, but to me that's really dabbling. You're just you're expressing more of a social media type of method. You need a website. So
definitely first.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
So, but you need that concept as to where you want to go with a website and what you want to be. So I think you have to vet that out. You have to understand where you want to go, because if you put a lot of stuff out there and it's not good, then you're going to a little bit pay the price until you can regroup again.
Right.
So in my case, I took the time to plan it out a little bit longer. So I didn't go live right away. I really spent the first year researching, understanding. I bought a domain name right away. I decided what my company name was going to be. I went out there, I got the domain name. Okay, boom. I sat on that domain name for months, but that's okay. It's not expensive. It's not an expensive game to get into.
And that's important.
So
Yes.
I did that, bought the domain name, which coincided with my business name. So outdoorcovers.ca, Outdoor Covers Canada. Legally, that's what I am, right? So it fits. And I picked a domain name that people can relate to.
Yes.
So it's not ABC XY
No, it
something.
tells what your business is, what
NV
you actually
pillow,
do. Yes.
you know,
Yeah, which is
outdoor
perfect.
covers.
Yeah.
So it tells a story.
Yeah.
So you really have to think about it. So and vet it all out. And the other part is understanding where it is you want to be and what you want to represent. So I wanted to make sure I vetted that out first. I'm, again, in my business background, you don't kind of just go out there half cocked, so to speak. You want to make sure you know what you're going to do. And so I did that. I did that homework initially myself, and I guess my business background allowed me to be able to figure that out. I even wrote out my own business plan before I did anything else. I changed it 10 times since, but you know I needed that business plan
important. Keep it changed as you
get
go,
my
right?
my mind into it. And just over time, I built it up, and I'd never done my own website before. So similar like web.com, that you use that kind of a service if you want to, or you can do it on your own and start everything on your own.
Yes.
I chose to use that function in terms of hiring somebody to
Professional.
be my back end. Again, deer in headlights.
Yes.
How do I do this?
Yeah.
Well, you can get help from resources like web.com, and they will help you through the process and get it done the way you want to. But I also wanted control myself because I'm that kind of a person. I want to make sure I'd be able to control everything that I do.
Not
so I
uncommon.
learned I
what
learned
an
the process, right?
Entrepreneurs are like that.
Yes, yeah. We were talking about that earlier, right? Yeah, I want that. And I learned it. At the end of the day, spend the time, learn it. You're not going to learn it overnight. It takes a while to get it, but you will. The fact is you will. Just take the time to do it, and you'll get there.
So Leo and Cathy, I know both of you, when I go on your sites, you've got links to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, I think, Pinterest. Google Plus.
Yeah.
So how did you make those decisions in terms of which social media links you would make from your website?
Well, first of all, yes, you need to have the social media. Websites came out long before there was social media. If anyone could have said, hey, how about an idea of having this sort of communication between your customers for free? And that's why the social media is so important to the next step to the website. Because personally, I find that because the information is there at the website, but the social media is all about customer service and communication. So it blends together. And to choose which one to do, I have two thoughts to that. First of all, in my demographic with anti-aging, definitely it's Facebook, which your kids aren't on anymore because we older people are on it now, so they don't want to be on it. So Facebook is a big one for us.
Yep.
You know your market, know your demographics, and Twitter we dabble with as well, Instagram, but you can't do it all, right?
No.
And sometimes I think we can spread ourselves too thin with the social media. Rather than do them all a little bit well, we do one or two or three at the most, as well as we can.
And know your customer and where they're active.
Exactly. And that's
to
where
direct that decision.
Exactly.
I can't tell you how interesting it is to hear these experiences, both from website and social media. If I could just top up on both of them.
Please.
And I'm sorry you had such difficulty starting out, but it's not uncommon.
It was before your time.
Yeah, no, and to hear Leo on it was an uphill battle, and I just think it's so important for the small business owners listening to hear that and to inform their next step. When we talk to small businesses and the importance of that first 7 to 10 seconds as someone lands on your website, so many things are happening. They're establishing your credibility. They're you're setting the bar in terms of the quality that you're offering, and you're holding their attention because the clock starts ticking the moment they land on your site.
Yeah. And it's important, by the way, that as you get onto that website, that you don't lose them right away.
Right.
Because there's some statistics out there that tell you that if you haven't captured them within like 15, 25 seconds,
on.
you've lost them.
Yeah.
So it's really
And
We
important.
got short attention spans.
So an example, one of our customers builds homes, designer homes. And it's sort of telling your two stories. Their old website that we refreshed for them had dated photos, basic information, contact information that was there. But when they were on the phone with their prospective customers, they were almost having to apologize for what they were seeing on their website. And let me send you more current work and some floor plans. And they were almost having to reset with customers over the phone and by email because their website just wasn't representing what they do. And so, getting off on the right foot and representing what you do is so important.
So when you're starting, though, I mean, often, many of our listeners this evening, they might be in the early stages of even having the idea. Like, I think I'm going to start a business, or maybe they've just started. So they don't have people to make all these decisions. Is social media important? Like, can you make a profit from it, or is that something you work towards? Where is it in the cycle, do you think?
Well,
It's got to be about the passion, not the profit, right? And that's what it is. Like, social media is just customer service. And if you don't have that, then you don't have a product. And the product has to be awesome, or the service has to be awesome. But the social media is that connection that, they say something. It happens all the time with me. I'm sure it happens with you too, Leo, that someone will type something onto Facebook, something negative. You got to be there to respond to it. Something positive, you're there to respond to it.
And it's informing your operation. It's informing your business and what you deliver. You're probably better off because of this engagement via social media. That's what we tell our customers. It's if you do it and you commit to it and don't ignore it, you need to be responsive.
It has to be constant.
You'll be a better business for it.
Well, there's two key things about social media. A is that I believe that it's absolutely necessary nowadays to be part of social media. To your point, it can be a double-edged sword, and you got to be careful how you manage it. But social media does two things. A, it extends your reach, and you get to a lot more people that way. But the other thing too is that behind the scenes, it's a point system. Whether you like it or not, when people are doing searches on Google and other search engines, it's all a point system. And if people are touching you on Facebook or Google Plus or whatever it happens to be, it's all part of a point system. That's how you climb up on the pages. And I think you could probably talk a little bit more about the SEO part of it, but it's all part of it. So you got to put all those pieces together in order to get the reach, in order to get the hits, in order to move up the page rankings. Because if you want to talk online business, it's all about page ranking and about hits and about views.
So it's a great dialogue, but just we know we've got some folks that are just tuning in, and we want to welcome them. We're having great dialogue here. This is the RBC Small Business Live panel where we're discussing the topic of getting your business online. And we've got some very successful entrepreneurs here and an industry expert. But if you missed part of the earlier discussion, it is being recorded and will be released as part of the RBC Sound of Small Business podcast series. To subscribe to the podcast, search for the Sound of Small Business wherever you download your podcasts, or visit rbc.com/sound of small business. This discussion has been fantastic, and we're learning as much as we can from our panelists, trying to get through the questions. There are lots of them, but it's time to hear from you. If you'd like to add to the conversation, send your questions through RBC Facebook page or through Twitter using the hashtag RBCSmallBiz so we don't miss any of your questions. But we certainly look forward to your questions, and we'll answer as many as we can in just a few moments, so you can start typing and asking those questions. We were talking about social media, which is quite timely, and that this is where folks are getting information and advice from our experts. But I'm wondering around managing your brand. There's a lot of debate about how do I make sure that I'm up there in terms of my ranking and I'm selected so that if I'm typing in something that I'm being profiled. Dorgam, maybe you could share a little bit about what your recommendations are there.
Sure, and the simple term for that is search engine optimization. So again, back to my earlier point, being found for when that consumer is typing in what they need. And the applications of that are both on your website and on your social media platforms and on any directories or business directories, Google My Business, Bing, that you're being very consistent in how you've presented yourself and what your offering is. So an example of a website that you've worked with someone who knows what they're doing, and that not only are they writing copy for each page that reflects what you do, but they're weaving in an appropriate density, they call it, of keywords and keyword phrases. And that really is just the language that your customers use when they need something. The language that they're putting into that Google box. So that's one side, SEO, and that's a big topic. The other one is local search.
Yes.
And local search is becoming more and more prominent. In fact, Google gives it considerable real estate. We all know what it is, but we might not know it by name, but it's when you type in that need, and what presents is a map with some pins
Yes.
and 3 local businesses that match that need. And so those listings are called the Google My Business directories, and those are free. So you talk about SEO and pay-per-click and other optimization efforts, those all come at a cost. You can do it yourself, of course, but they're not without their complexity. But the directory listings are free. And so go out and claim them.
That's a great
small
tip.
businesses,
That's
go
a-
out and
certainly
claim
for
them,
the- yeah.
optimize them, make sure they have
Yeah.
your complete business detail, your hours of operation. They have that consistent business description with your key products and services, because that's what's going to tie into their search.
Yeah.
And just know that you're going to be there in that mobile search, and that functionality, click through to call, is there.
Yep.
And then what I love is that you click the directions and it pushes to your map, and you put it up on the dash and you just listen to your phone, and you get there and they're going to find you. So
fantastic.
those are some things. There's a social media side too, but those are the things I'd point to.
So you don't have to spend technically a lot of money
No.
to get started.
You really don't. A website can go from $5 to $25 a month.
But what I think I've heard, and Leo, you certainly shared around, sort of as your business plan grows and as you grow and as you change and you extend, and if you go from e-retailing to potentially retailing in the future, you have to adapt and ensure your online presence adapts with that. That's what I'm hearing, it sounds like.
Yes, because nothing stays the same.
Yeah.
And so you have to make those adjustments as you go along. So my business model has been learn as you go, and when you learn something new, then adapt and take that on. And just like Dorgam is saying, is that you've got to figure that out. But it's not that difficult if you spend the time to do
And
it.
you've paced your growth. I think
Pace,
that's
exactly.
the other. You've
Say,
planned it.
I've got this list of to-dos.
Yeah.
And so let me, hit those all at once. Oh, not all at once,
No.
but let me hit them one at a time and see how much progress I can make. And I think that's probably, something that we all should be looking at in terms of pacing it, like you said.
The tendency for small businesses, especially early on, is to take it on themselves. We hope for all of our customers that they get to a point where they're too busy focused on their business that all of a sudden things can stutter and their website and their activity online might go a little stale. That's a problem, good problem, if in fact they've got so much business in front of them that they can't pay attention. That's when you need to recognize this still needs to be active, this still needs to be current, and move with me, right?
I think that,
And resource constraints, not having enough time to do everything you need to, especially if you're a one-person show. Look at your website and look at your social media to see how can I make these two things work for me? How can I open up some bandwidth of my time so that the website is actually capturing leads for me? Or, we talked about Facebook and the customer service element, but it's got an incredible advertising engine. Super targeted.
And NV Pillow uses this all the
There you
time.
go.
We're always boosting posts. We don't have, it's great what you're talking about, the Google location thing, but with us, we're not the store. We are selling it to the stores. So we're the distributor. So we like to draw attention to those stores. So we go on Facebook, we hook up with their Facebook page.
Extend.
And then we boost it for $5.
There you go.
And it goes out and we geo-target it and we put in some interest that those clients in that area would be interested in, and likes, and next thing you know, we're getting another pillow order.
extend it, yeah.
Yeah, so
Through reputation and network.
and
and-
we're
It's so
helping
good
them, we're working together, we're partnering, we're
Supporting
helping them
them,
sell our product.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
So e-commerce.
So good.
It's a lot of talk about e-commerce. How do I do it? What are the best? Any advice that you can provide?
Well, I know that when when we started with the Envy Pillow website, we went just to PayPal. This is when you're just starting. So we hooked PayPal up on our product page. Lots and lots of information about the product, because with us it was online at that point. And PayPal, we would get the order, we'd put in the packing slip, we'd print out the shipping label, we'd slap it on, and we'd mail it ourselves. But of course, like everything grows, and now we have a logistics company that does all that for us.
Yeah.
But I do think PayPal has its limitations. We noticed a big jump in sales when we went with a merchant processing company that would accept major credit cards, and that was another. Everything is like steps and steps, and don't do it all at once.
Yeah.
But that's how we did it. But the product page is paramount, because, as you say, people want the information right away when they're on your website.
It's in the moment.
They
right?
might want to catch you. You might want to catch them then. But once they decide, and they have decided when they go to your product page, they have decided they want a ton of information.
Yes.
They want to know everything possible. So that's where we put a lot of videos, testimonials, pictures. And that's how that's the best advice for e-commerce for
Smart.
me.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Yeah. And from our point of view, e-commerce was really important right off the bat, because I sell products and sell
You're
a lot
on
of different products. And so our website base or host has a good engine that works together with payment solutions. So right off the top, I could take all three major credit cards and PayPal, and I also later on can do it with Square as well. So it all comes very simply and very easily, and it all ties into RBC because it all ties in through our payment solutions company, which is partially owned by RBC. So it really links in together, and it's pretty seamless. It's pretty easy.
Yes.
So that first part of launching, it was kind of fearful. All these
How is
credit
this gonna
cards, all
work?
this. Once you learn that within the website providers and the hosts, there are tools in there that make it quite easy for you to use. You just ask them the questions, they'll help you, walk you through it, and you subscribe to these things. But I must say, it's really important. Canadian consumers lagged a little bit behind in e-commerce. One of the key reasons that they didn't trust it.
Yes.
And so it's really important that you build that trust. And one of the things that you got to do is make sure that how you're taking in payments is very secure. So you got to make sure that the payment solution systems are secure and are trustable, and that helps build that credibility and the confidence in your consumers that they'll shop on your website. And for that reason, all Canadians really should be looking out to where they're buying it from and making sure that it's secure. And most of the companies are, with help of host providers, that you can be confident that your information is secure.
Well, talking about websites, we've been getting some questions in right in the moment, and Stephen from Facebook asked the question, what are the top 3 things I should include on my website? Top 3. So if you can only have 3, what would they be? This is like rapid fire here.
Top 3?
Top 3.
I don't know if I can do 3, but I'm going to start because it'll just come. But I think the first thing you have to make sure you do on a website is tell the problem. What is the problem you're selling?
The problem statement.
And that is the first thing. Like you can't just say, I got a pillow. We say, we have the one pillow that will solve this, this, and this. And so that's the first thing I think you need to do. Another thing I think you need to do is make it really simple whenever they do decide to buy, to click on buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now. And need help, have a question, make that very simple. We have just recently added a live chat.
You've got, I was going to say, it popped up this today
I know,
for me.
when I was,
So you're on the phone 24 hours a day?
Not the phone, but we're there. Like,
online chat.
and you know what? To be honest with you, the more live chats we get, the more I realize I'm missing something on the website. And when they ask a question, I go,
It almost gives you the trigger of what you...
I got to add
that's a
that
good
to the
piece of
website.
advice.
And so that's, I like the live chat. Some people might go, that just ties me down too much, but you can set it to be at certain hours
Or
that
if you're on
available.
for a period of time, or you click on something,
Absolutely. So contact us is very important, but really prominent, like so that they can see the number, they can see, press this button for an email. Very.
Leo.
I'll add to that like all of us,
Yep.
when you land somewhere, you pretty quickly like it or don't like it.
Yep.
So it's pretty important that your landing page is strong, is not cluttered,
Yep.
provides a clear message, whether it be a need or a gap or something that, hey, this solves my problem, that it's really important that they land well. Next thing to me is it's got to be easily navigatable.
Yeah.
So can you see easily, I want to go somewhere, I can go here. Obviously, it has to be easy to buy as well. But the other thing is the imagery. So, and we were talking about this earlier in the room, that images and photography
product,
is quality stuff is really important.
Yeah.
Our company is not where it needs to be yet. You've got more of an advance on me because you've been in it for longer. So that's like a goal
That's your
of
next
mine.
step.
I
Yeah.
want to improve the imagery there because it really is important for all
Yes.
people
Yeah.
to be able to land something and say, hey, this looks cool. Hey, let's face it, we like pretty things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so by
Yeah.
making it navigatable and attractive, it adds to your credibility and people are more likely to shop.
The visual is important. So Dorgam, if someone called web.com, what would the top 3 things for their website be?
First off, I have to give Kathy and Leo a big A+ on their
isn't that
feedback.
nice?
No, I'm going to repeat. I'm going to repeat a lot of what they said.
Nice work.
The value proposition, your problem statement, making sure that is right front and center.
Yes.
And the visual that might bring that value proposition to life. Because you can say something, but the image is going to bring and punctuate that. So I tie those two together. Clear call to action. If it's request a quote or request a consultation or shop, that call to action should be prominent, especially on a small business website. And then contact information, because depending on from one customer to the next, they're going to be comfortable via chat,
Yeah.
or they're going to want to phone, or they don't have time now and they just want to enter their question by email. The importance of visuals. We just did a redo for a golf and country club, and their problem was their website didn't represent an important aspect of their business, which was the banquet, wedding, and corporate facilities. You land on their website, attractive, great photos, but the orientation is around golf.
Yeah.
The call to action is book tee times. The menu is oriented around golf. I mean, all great, but an important aspect of their business was being ignored. The revamp,
Yeah.
balanced
Yeah.
the focus. The visuals tell 1,000 words, but the call to action, book your wedding, book your corporate events, and there's a balance there now. So check,
great.
check, check.
So another question, which is I think a really good one. It was on the list from some other interested individuals. But what are the next big trends in terms of online? We know there's lots of new avenues. There's Snapchat. There's so many new avenues and mediums to be able to communicate your message and tell your story. But what are the trends you're seeing? What are you thinking about? And maybe it's just your next step in your journey.
I'll go back to the imagery. The imagery
Yeah.
is important, and I think that as places like Pinterest and Instagram and even Apple, I mean, you see something you like, click on it to buy it.
Yeah.
It's going to that where it's going to be that quick, which means that you have to be tied into that technology to be able to move quickly. So I think that's a trend that's coming where people want instant satisfaction, and
You want to be on their path.
You got to be on that path and
Yeah.
understand what's around the corner. I mean, other than that social media is always important, but somebody said a little bit earlier that, okay, who's the biggest growing demographic for Facebook? It's actually the older generation, not they're eschewing it
I
because
think the
it's
average
not
age,
cool anymore.
The average
right?
age is 40, 41.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's going up. So what are the people who are the millennials, the 20 somethings, or even the teens now?
Yeah.
What
will
are
have buying
they
power.
reaching for?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have buying power. So what are they reaching for? And it sounds like Instagram, Pinterest seems to be very big, but I'm not an industry expert in things like that. But that's kind of what I'm envisioning, anyways.
That's
I
great.
don't know. I don't know.
Do you have
what the-
anything that you're
I have
seeing?
no idea what the next trend. I mean, I agree. You need a responsive website that you can have on a little phone, on your little watch.
Everything has to be mobile.
Everything
I
has
think
to
that's
be
an
mobile.
important
Very
element.
critical.
Even if they're just searching
Even
on their
your-
mobile and ordering when they get home
Yeah.
on their desktop, I just think you need to have that, as you say, the
mobile
graphics have
enabled.
to be
website.
And go back to the mobile thing, it has to be mobile friendly.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, your website has to be, because I think the Canadian statistic is that 80% of people are shoppers online, and 70% of people who own smartphones buy online.
Yeah.
So if
It's a
they have
high
smart,
number,
it's
yeah.
a
People
big
shop
number.
before they even come into, if there is an actual store.
So make it
Yeah.
mobile
I mean,
friendly.
yeah, you've
If you have
got-
lots of images or videos,
That's how
they may
people
not play
operate
well.
now. You
Yeah.
all have your smartphones, and
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
So
yeah.
I'd echo that from the industry side. Responsive design
Yeah,
is sort of the term
definitely.
that
Okay.
we use. So from go, think mobile for your website, your posts elsewhere on social media,
Absolutely.
and even your advertising. Just know that it's going to be consumed more than half of the time, and it's only going to grow via mobile. The other trend in mobile responsive design, I think everyone knows what it means. It's device agnostic. It'll present
Which is
well,
important.
present well on an iPhone or Android or a tablet, and it will adjust font size and imagery and your navigation and your menu to be
That's important.
user friendly.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
Responsive.
and let me tell you, Google, 2/3 of search is on Google, and the other internet, Facebook, quote unquote, they know, you talk about more than half of search is mobile. It's even more for social media.
Yeah.
So, what was the traditional desktop view, people now are just simply consuming their Facebook and their newsfeed, and they're rarely stepping out of it.
Yeah.
And Google recently, just last year, I don't want to use the word penalized, but it recognizes with a higher rating those websites that are mobile friendly.
Well, I was going to say, and that's the other element of it that impacts. I mean, you may not be as high on the rating system if you're not.
And the one thing I'll
mobile
quickly
friendly.
mention also is, I think it's I don't know if it's a trend, but it's just a growing capacity for the targeting capability of ads through social media platforms, specifically Facebook. It is incredible.
There's a lot to tap into
And
on Facebook. yeah.
advice for small businesses listening, that email list of your customer base, hold on to it, nurture it. You can take that email list and go into Facebook,
I know you can.
and you can
I
upload a
learned
custom
this
audience.
today.
Yeah, okay.
I learned it
You can
today.
upload a custom audience, and you create what's called a lookalike campaign. And Facebook will go out and find
People that-
customers that resemble the profile of your
Yes.
current base,
Yeah.
and they'll present that ad based on your targeting and the desired outcome that you want in terms of call to action. It'll further narrow that,
I know.
and it'll put that ad in front of people that look like your customer base already. Come on.
That's fantastic.
So-
Well, you're prompting lots of questions. So from Jennifer on Facebook, we have a question around how do I create brand awareness and build a meaningful audience using social media? So how do I start to extend? So it's one thing, I've signed everything up. How do I create that
Brand
network?
awareness.
How do I,
And it's so funny because I have a bit of a pet peeve about branding and logos and all that kind of stuff. And we have a brand, we have a logo, but the brand is only what the customer decides what you are. And so that's what you need to make sure you are there for them, like social media, like your website. It's what they decide you are. If you've got a lousy product or a lousy content, that's your brand. That's what they see. So they decide who you are. You don't. And I think that's the mindset that a lot of people have, that they start a business and I want to create a brand and I want to have a mission statement. And that's really not how it works. The customer decides who you are. And the customer will decide, it won't remember your logo or what your brand is or what your mission statement is. It'll remember your product or your service, and they'll remember how good you were about it. And that's what branding to me is, but you may have a different opinion.
Well, I agree, and that's a really good point. And part of the reason why I chose the name I did is because it's not all about I think somebody said to me once, you need to create something like Nike and all that. Says, I'll never be Nike. I mean, I don't have the kind of corporate money to do that kind of branding. It's about your name, your reputation, what
Exactly.
you stand for.
Yeah.
And so to me, it was okay. Outdoor covers. Doesn't it say what it is?
That is what you do.
So that's my point. You know, Envy Pillow. You know, it's about saying what your product is about. To me, that's important.
Yeah.
Because I'm a small business.
Yeah.
Am I going to build a really big brand overnight? No. In many years, maybe. But it's some of the questions related around resources.
Yeah.
You only have so many resources. So make what you have make sense to the consumer. The name makes sense. Your product makes sense. What you're trying to convey makes sense. In that case, invest your time in that, not in trying to create some fancy brand.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
a logo is nice. People
Oh,
say
yeah,
it's
you
cool
need
and
it.
everything
Yeah,
else.
you need it.
But yeah, don't
But
spend an
it's-
inordinate amount of
So
time.
it's really
At
the
least that's my
culture
opinion.
and everything behind it.
Well, not nowadays. I mean, maybe it was important. You know, the Nike swoosh was important 10 years ago.
Maybe,
now
yeah.
it's the company. It's
It's what you stand
it's
for.
what the customer sees Nike as
Yep.
being,
Yeah,
what
exactly.
it represents.
Well, we've had so many questions.
Okay.
So if you submitted a question on Facebook or Twitter with the hashtag RBC Small Biz, and we haven't been able to answer it directly, please don't worry. We'll do our best to get back to you online or on other avenues, but we really appreciate it. But we are quickly running out of time, how quickly the time goes. But we wanted to ask each of you to share any top tricks or tips to selling online.
Well, for me, then I have sort of 5 things that I
Yep.
thought of this ahead of time, and I went like, okay, so think about this. If I'm putting myself in that position, what do I need? So, number 1 to me is do your homework, do research, understand where it is you're going. Because to me, there could be a lot of lost time and effort without really understanding where you're at. The second thing is to differentiate yourself. So I'm in a market that, yeah, okay, there's other people who make stuff like this, but how am I going to be different? Well, I want to market to Canadians. I want to make sure I have a good price-value relationship. You know, I ship from Canada. I want to have the biggest assortment of anybody in Canada. So those kind of things are what I want to stand for. So there's lots of players. You know, you can buy some products at big box stores, but I want to have those things that stand me out. So that's really important. And to me, it's important to have that vision, to make sure that you know what you stand for, what you want to be, and where you want to go.
Yeah.
That will change over time, and it's okay for it to change. But once you have something, try to stay focused on it. Otherwise, you're all over the place, and you don't get the traction that you want to get. And with that, then the next one is adjust and adapt. So you may want to go this way. Something's going to say you need to go that way. Well, then adjust, and you're going to have to make that change. And lastly, I would say know the economics.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of things to consider. So yeah, you can do the website entry at a relatively low price, but there's lots of other things. I'm in the business where I need inventory, and I have to consider logistics, I have to take shipping, and all kinds of that. So know the economics of what you're getting into, because that can hold you back. So, you know, and where you want to start. If you can't be this big because the economics, then start here and
build.
and
Have your
build.
plan.
Exactly. So
Good for
those
you.
are the 5 sort of tips
great.
that I thought would be helpful.
And Cathy?
And I touched on it a little bit earlier when I said make sure your product pages are awesome. And so we're always actually changing our product pages. We add testimonials because people go there, they're ready to buy. You don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
They want to hear what the other people are saying about your product. They want to see the videos of what they're saying about your product. They want to know all the specs. They want to know how to take care of your product. We put that all on there. And then we have a social media sharing sort of platform there where they can actually say before they buy, to their friends, what do you think about this product before we buy? So we have, and then the live chat that we have there as well. So those are the things that I think, because you can't be there in person like you are in the olden days when they came into the store and bought. So have all the information there for them, easily accessible.
Great advice.
Yeah.
And Dorgam?
These are all excellent points. I'll maybe take a different tact and just reframe just how do you approach your website and your social media so that it can do more for you, free up your time so you can focus on your business. You know, we've got more traditional online e-commerce where they've got something that they're going to ship out, but I think it's really important for the small business owners listening or those who want to start out, even if you have a service, there really isn't anything that you can't transact online. So if you're the plumber or the landscaper,
Yep,
or
service industry.
a service industry, you can hand your receipt over to your customer and say, thank you so much, hope you like the work. My website's at the bottom. You can pay me at your convenience. So that opens up so much of your time chasing down accounts receivable, what have you. The other thing is look at your site and talk to someone, talk to others in business, or talk to an expert like web.com about what other features exist that I could make my site maybe burn some calories and really work for me. You know,
Good term.
You know, you've got contractors, renovators. We've got a customer that renovates basements. And when we were done with his website, that big call to action was a request to quote. And to your point, there was a tab with testimonials, and there was another tab that had example upon example of the work he's done. And that site is doing the work for him. And when they fill out that lead form, he'll get it in real time to his smartphone, and he can choose when he's going to get back to it. He might be in the middle of a job. He can do it at coffee or do it at the end of the workday, and you know, his site is working for him.
Well, I was going to say, each of you have, I think, inspired everyone today. But before we finish up, I wanted to ask one parting question, and it's really around advice for the Canadian entrepreneur who's either thinking of starting a business, maybe they've already started, and really around how are they going to reach their someday?
Well, the first thing I'd say to everybody is be brave. Do it. If you have a dream, try to follow it, but be smart about it. You know, everything costs a little bit of money, but I think be brave. There's 50% of Canadian online shoppers buy outside of Canada. That, to me, tells you that there's a lot of you guys out there that can open up a business and get it going. Just got to give it a shot. And it takes time. You're not going to make it happen overnight. So take your time, take the steps, and don't expect it to explode overnight. It takes, you know, a year, 2 years, so be prepared to run the course. And the other thing is seek expertise, because you can't do it alone. You've got help in you know, website hosting. You've got help with your financial institution, and people that you know. You talk to people about it. Next thing you know, hey, I know somebody. And that's how I found a lot of my resources. I know a person. And so you end up talking to a lot of people. And you have to have passion for it. At the end of the day, you need to have passion for what you're doing. And Cathys mentioned that before, that it's important that you believe in what you're doing, and that you know it excites you every day. And that'll keep the fuel going for all of it. So I think that, to me, is what I would leave for the most part.
Great words.
And what I would add to the passion, because I think that is the most important thing, that you have passion and you love what you do, as long as it pays. Because quite honestly,
gotta make money.
you know, you can love what you do and you're not getting paid for it and there's no profit in it, and it's going to fail. Or you could hate what you do and make a lot of money, and then something inside of you will fail. So that's the kind of thing that you have to make sure that you have. And Kim and I have that, and it shows in our customer service, and it shows in we get phone calls and love letters and emails all the time, and we love getting them. And that's the part, like, I want to keep of the business, that I'd like to hand over some of the other stuff to somebody like web.com.
And that's what,
because that's what we love to do, and we believe in the product, and we know that it helps people, and that just is so endearing for us. So it's
But you've been at it since 2009, and
not tired yet.
And not tired yet. But not only that, but along the way, probably like me, but more often than me, because you've been doing it longer, is that there's been stumbles along the way. And
horrible.
Sometimes you question yourself as to, am I crazy?
Exactly.
Should be doing this?
But you know what? You said about being brave. You have to be intrepid, because confidence breeds good business. Even if you make mistakes, if you're confident going in, just do it. Just make that decision. If it backfires on you, just believe in it and just pick up your boots and go.
Well, well, Leo and Cathy, you've certainly inspired me. I know you've inspired others. It really shows about the passion. Follow your dream, and there's a marketplace in Canada to make money doing something that you love. So great message. So thank you all for tuning in to this RBC Small Business Live panel. We hope that we've provided you with some valuable advice and insights to help you start your entrepreneurial dream or to grow your business by using the opportunities offered by the internet. If you missed any part of the panel at all, it was recorded and will be released as part of the RBC Sound of Small Business podcast series. To subscribe to the podcast, search for the Sound of Small Business wherever you download your podcasts or visit rbc.com/sound of small business. Well, on behalf of all of you, thank you to our experts and entrepreneurs. It was fantastic having you each here.
We
My
really
pleasure.
appreciate. Thank you for the invitation.
And we wish you
having-
huge success. We're going to be following your stories
You
in terms
better.
of your business success, and we really appreciate it. And Dorgam, certainly web.com provides great advice and service to many Canadian businesses. So thank you for all that you do
Real
to
pleasure.
keep the entrepreneurial spirit alive in Canada. So stay tuned for our next RBC Small Business Live panel. We'll be back in May. See you then.